I didn't know if I could successfully go from screenwriter to novelist. I didn't know if I could do it because the writing is so different. I had to go back to the little guy, the little boy when I was a kid, when I used to write little short stories. It was just a mad experiment. The Eastern Wind is the narrator that links them all together. Yeah.
I like
So
that.
the Eastern Wind's kind of like my Rod Serling,
Yes.
right? Eastern Wind was that, I guess, that first step outside the capsule onto the moon, right? That was the first step.
So, okay, let's go on then to Tales from the Eastern Wind.
Okay, well, Tales from the Eastern Wind was a test because I didn't know if I could successfully go from screenwriter to novelist. I didn't know if I could do it because the writing is so different. Scripts, you're in present tense and you can only describe what's happening on screen. You can't go into all these wordy descriptions of the leaves flickering off the trees and the cascading scents of this. It's not that. No. Bob walks into a room. Bob takes his typewriter and throws it through a window. Bob has a temper tantrum. I mean, I'm being really rudimentary here, but I'm just saying it's not creative in that aspect. So when I left that industry and I still wanted to write, I had to go back to the little guy, the little boy when I was a kid, when I used to write little short stories and stuff to entertain myself. And I just was wondering if I could get that back. And so I thought, instead of diving into an actual novel, because I didn't want to get like 50,000 words into something and go, I can't do this.
Right.
Right. I just didn't want to waste that time. So I'm like, maybe I'll just do a bunch of short stories and I'll just try. Because a lot of times, like in screenwriting, I used to come up with an amazing scene. There's just a scene. And I'm like, oh, this scene is so good. I got no story with it. I got no script to put around it, but just an awesome scene. And then it would just be wasted because it didn't go with anything. But with short stories and flash fiction, I had a couple of old scenes that I had kind of scrolled away from scripts that never came to be. And I took those scenes and I made a complete story out of them. And it only reads 3 pages long, but it was a perfect scene, right? So it became a short story. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Instead of just being a scene, it became a story. And so I did that. And so I started just to play around with just, if something popped in my head, I would write it. And some would be 1 page long. So I was like, okay, that's flash fiction. Very, very short. And then I had another storyline. I was like, oh, I'll start writing this and see what happens. And it turned out to be 20 pages long. I'm like, okay, well, that's a short story. And so I just had all these extras, and I didn't plan on doing a short story collection. I just was just seeing how my writing would flow with different genres, different points of view. So I first person, third person, second person. I was jumping all over. It was just a mad experiment, right? I should have had a lab coat and really bushy hair and laughing evilly, going, "Yeah, let's try this today." Um, but after about 3 or 4 months of just tossing a bunch of stuff that I'd written into a pile, I had like 20. I had 20 pieces I had 20 stories that I was like, wow, that's a lot. And then I started looking through them. I'm like, well, they're not bad. I mean, they need tightening, they need rewriting, and they need to be finessed. And then I'm like, well, people do short story collections. Maybe I should do that. And I'll get that out and I'll just see how people react to my narrative writing and see if there's something in there for me. Maybe I can, get some honest feedback and people will tell me, give it up or pursue it. And so Tales from the Eastern Wind, the title uh, came from basically Eastern Wind deals with anything wicked, right? So if the Eastern Wind comes for you, you're wicked. And a lot of my stories kind of had like kind of dark tones and dark messages. So I was like, okay, well, this is a bunch of books and it's tales of, and I like, well, the Eastern Wind deals with this and it's kind of interesting. And because I didn't want to do any rewrites to any of my short stories until I had my title. So I had to come up with Tales of the Eastern Wind. As soon as I had the Eastern Wind, I made the Eastern Wind a character. So the Eastern Wind speaks the first sentence in every story. It's like an introduction, right? So if happen to have it here. So like on my very first short story, it's called Old Joe. So before I get into the story, it says the eastern wind, it has a quote saying, the end result of any situation is always dependent on its very beginning, no matter how long ago that beginning was initiated, the eastern wind. So it gives you a sense about time, right? And then the story reads, and then it ends, and then you go to the next short story. Emotional content can't even the emotional content can even convince a blind man to see something which is never there, the eastern wind. So that was the
Right.
thread. That was the thread that linked all the stories together because they're all so different. I have espionage. I have a love story. I have
There you go.
I have some scary. I have some horror. I have some sci-fi. I have some fantasy. I have some philosophical. Some straight up literary fiction. So there's like a bunch in like I think one of everything in this because there's I don't know how many there's. I think there's about 20 in the collection. So, but they're all over the place. You
Well,
know.
that's cool because, when a person picks that up, if they want to read a particular type of story,
Yeah.
it's there. It's the salad bar.
Yes, it is. It is a salad bar. But
Yeah,
the Eastern Wind is the narrator that links them all together. Yeah.
I like
So
that.
the Eastern Wind's kind of like my Rod Serling, right?
Yes.
Would you believe? You know,
Yeah.
imagine a place of, so,
Yep.
um, and I think I was nervous about it because I didn't know what I was going to do because I mean, I was still teaching martial arts, but I was getting older. The body was starting to break down, and I wanted something a little easier to think. And I love writing, but I was just nervous about going from film and television into a narrative. So yeah, Eastern Wind was that, I guess, that first step outside the capsule onto the moon, right? That was the first step. And I didn't know if I was going to fall and roll my ankle or if I was going to land on my feet. And so it went out there and the feedback was wonderful. And it gave me the confidence to say, all right, I'm going to write an actual novel now. And then I jumped into Empire of One and there would be no Empire of One, there would be no Lincoln B, there would be no Corbin Dwyer, there would be no Shooter, Broken Things, or Dock Ridge Kids if it wasn't for Eastern Wind. Because
Isn't that interesting?
if it had gotten poorly received, you and I wouldn't be talking. You know what I mean? I would probably still be either teaching martial arts or bagging groceries. I don't know. So, um, So I guess, I'm grateful because this gave me my next career. So, thank you, Eastern Wind, for that. So,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
that's great.
yeah,
So now, across all three of these books, it feels like you're inviting readers to confront themselves or to take a look at themselves for what is going on in their life and for what possibly is to come of their
yeah.
life.
And I think that's self-portraiture because that was my mindset at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know where I was going. I had questioned many decisions I'd made in my past. Um, like was leaving the film and television industry wrong? Like maybe I made a mistake. So it's no surprise that those first three books are going to be because it definitely was influenced by where I was mentally and spiritually and emotionally in that time of my life, right? So, yeah, I'm not surprised at all that you would pick up on that for sure, because that's how I was feeling. That's how I
So
was.
if somebody listening to this is at a crossroads, what would you give them as far as maybe permission in themselves? What permission would you give them to do for themselves? What do you think?
I'd say give yourself permission to forgive yourself, to heal yourself, and I mean emotionally. I mean, and give yourself permission to try again, and give yourself permission to fall and stumble again if you have to. Because you know what? You can still always stand up and keep walking. You know, it's gonna, and if you're lucky enough, I was lucky enough, I had somebody to help me out, But if you don't have someone, you got yourself. And the person that looks back at you from the mirror knows you better than anybody else, and they want you to be okay. You might not believe it, but that's what they want, and they're there to help, right? So I would say if anybody's at a crossroads and they're like going through what you say, um, trust, you got to trust yourself. You don't have to like it and you don't have to be comfortable with it, but you got to do it. And the more you do it, the comfort will find you. Um, it's got a homing beacon, but sometimes it moves slower than you're anticipating, right? But it has a homing beacon and the comfort will find you, but you might have to wait a little longer than someone else. And as long as you don't give up that hope that that homing beacon's finally gonna to reach you and the comfort's gonna find you, um, you just keep going, ever forward, head down, keep going. And if you gotta adapt, overcome, or improvise along the way, you can do it. And talk to that person in the mirror because I'm telling you, they know you and they also know how to fix it, just like Lincoln B, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So,
So do you believe seriously that everybody has a story in them?
yes, for sure. If you've lived a life, you have a story to tell. Guaranteed.
Interesting.
If you lived a
Wow.
life, you have a story to tell. A 3-year-old has a story to tell. A 90-year-old has a story to tell. Yep. And the
Wow.
type of story they tell is dictated by their amount of time and what they experience. But they all, right? Like if you sit down with a little kid and say, "Tell me about your day." Well, that's a story. And they're going to tell you the most creative way they can with like, and if it was a bad day, they might tell you with tears. If it was an amazingly exciting day, they're going to tell you with raised voices and maybe some physical animations, but it's still storytelling, right? Because
True.
that's what we are as humans. We're storytellers. We are. That's how we get our emotions across to others. That's how we inspire others. That's how we calm others down. That's how we can make others change their minds, maybe stop them from doing something they shouldn't be doing. It's all stories, right? In some shape or another.
Wow. That's great advice.
Yeah. Now, if that
Tell
only
your
was my
story.
advice.
Tell your story.
Yeah. But everybody has a story in them. So if anybody's thinking about being a writer and they just question it, nah, don't be afraid of the blank page. Write one word at a time. It's just like you're afraid to cross the road. Take that first step, then take the next one, then take the next one, and just all of a sudden you look back and you've taken 15 steps and you're almost across the road. You never there's no telling how long it'll take, but just one word at a time. So just have a blank page, type the first word, type the second word, get the first sentence done, then the second, first paragraph finished, first page, second page, third page. All of a sudden, I'm telling you, I, I can't stress this enough. You're going to blink, and one day you're going to have 100 pages. Now, are you going to be happy with what you wrote? Maybe not, but you might be ecstatic with it too. But everything can be edited, changed, molded, finessed, fixed, dressed up, dressed down, add some flavor, take out some flavor. It can all be, it's like a Rubik's Cube or like a box of Legos. It can be made into anything, but as long as you write the words. So yeah, everybody has a story to tell and everybody can be a writer. And
There you go.
I'm not saying to my fellow authors out there that writing's easy. It's not what I'm saying, but everybody can do it.
Right. Absolutely. And at least one person will read what you wrote yourself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at least one person, and maybe two when you get an editor involved.
When you get the editor involved, yeah. Or if you go and wrangle up a bunch of beta readers.
There you go.
Yeah.
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 Well, this has been so exciting, and I have really appreciated your time.
Oh, well, I appreciate being able to talk about my favorite subject, me. No. No, I'm just very humbled and grateful that you've taken the time to allow me to talk about my works and I just pray that everybody that decides to take a chance and let me step into their mind and they read my works, I pray it's worth their while. I really do. And if it's not, I'm sorry. But if it is, thank you. I'm grateful. So,
Well, we'll definitely make sure that all of your information and how to get these books and, covers of the books and everything like that, and how to actually read your work
yeah.
is included in all of these uh, podcasts, of
Yeah.
course.
Yes. No, no,
So
thank you so much. No, I've had a blast, by the way. So, yes.
I'm glad that you've enjoyed it. And it
Yeah.
probably brings you back to so many memories and what
Oh,
was
God.
going on while you were writing. And
Yeah, yeah, and your questions are amazing. There's stuff I never expected anybody to ask me, and I love that because it makes me realize uh, these podcasts I've done with you. I always knew I loved to write and love to write books, but actually talking to you, I realize now I really love it. Like you've really proven it beyond uh, the full cup I've already had. Like it's overflowing now because
aw,
because
that's
your
nice.
questions, no, because your questions, the way that you've asked them, I'm like, and you see how I answer, I get excited, and it's just like I'm so blessed that I can do this, that I've had the opportunity to actually sit down and just write stuff. So you just reflavored the gum I've been chewing with making me realize how much I love doing what I do. So thank you for that because this podcast really pulled that out of me, and I'm very grateful for that. So
Well, right back at you because, I was going through a rough spot myself and I had to sit back and really reevaluate what was super important in my life. And you know what came out of it? The podcast.
yeah,
I love the podcast.
yeah. Well,
And it
uh,
doesn't even matter who's listening. I mean,
no,
I appreciate everybody who's listening,
yeah,
but seriously,
yeah.
I know that the people who are supposed to hear it will hear it.
We'll hear it. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's like your readers will find you. It's what I say to all other writers. Your readers will find you. They will,
Yeah.
and I'm living proof of it. So, you know,
Yep. And I
and
appreciate you because not a lot of people want to, bare their souls or they don't trust the process, whatever it
yeah,
is. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate that you've trusted the process.
I'm trusting. I'm still a work in progress as well as a writer, but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
having a blast doing it. So
And I can't wait to talk to you about Lincoln B.
once you
I'm really
finish it,
enjoying it.
I'm sure you're gonna have a lot to say. So I'm so curious. I'm so curious. So yeah,
Yes, for sure.
yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Talk to you again. Trust. You got to trust yourself. You don't have to like it, and you don't have to be comfortable with it, but you got to do it. And the more you do it, the comfort will find you. Um, it's got a homing beacon, but sometimes it moves slower than you're anticipating, right? But it has a homing beacon, and the comfort will find you, but you might have to wait a little longer than someone else. And as long as you don't give up that hope that that homing beacon's finally going to reach you, and the comfort's going to find you, um, you just keep going, ever forward, head down, keep going. And if you got to adapt, overcome, or improvise along the way, you can do it. And talk to that person in the mirror because I'm telling you, they know you and they also know how to fix it.